Johnny Depp's Winona Forever tattoo was a key part of his trial against Amber Heard, but why does it matter so much? Everyone thought Johnny and his fiancée Stranger Things star Winona Ryder were meant to be, but her arrest after their breakup tells a different story. Winona's own court case, along with the real story behind Johnny's tattoo, reveal what the media didn't show us.
Winona Ryder, we'd been together for a few years.
Very wild and passionate couple.
Are you in love? Yeah.
Do you think it's important to have a stable relationship when you're 19?
And then the next thing you know, people are more concerned about your relationship.
But the trial didn't show what happened after.
When we broke up, how do you fix that?
This wasn't just like a breakup for Winona. She went down a rabbit hole.
This sort of piercing loneliness. They put me in the psychiatric ward. You would hear screaming at night.
Winona Ryder was arrested last night and charged with 4 felonies.
A barrage of cameras, tabloid headlines, and court appearances.
We found a sinister pattern between Winona's trial and what happened to Johnny and Amber.
A major celebrity, courtroom drama, real-life drama.
An all-consuming public obsession.
Millions of people judging me.
She really overdid her reactions, facial gestures. It's really weird.
This goes beyond entertainment.
She took the stand today, and now the stand is missing.
The way they dragged her through I would say mud, but it was like broken glass.
This feeding frenzy has been going on for 20 years.
Winona Ryder was hit on the crush of television cameras.
But Winona's finally had enough. This is the real life story behind the tabloids.
What was the first clear sign you were in trouble?
I felt completely beat up by myself, feeling like I didn't belong in the world, and I was having these horrible anxiety attacks. I remember really being so terrified of letting anybody around me know.
What was she so upset about?
Winona had just broken up with her first love, Johnny Depp, and she was about to go through her own very public court case, which has some striking similarities to what happened in Johnny and Amber's defamation trial.
Johnny's trial, it's almost like soap opera-y.
After digging into what happened with Winona, we discovered the story is way more complicated than people think. When Winona and Johnny first met, she was 17 and he was 25.
I knew there was an age difference between them, but I didn't know it was that big.
They met at the premiere of one of her films where he saw her across the lobby and said it was love at first sight.
And for Winona, that kind of attention must have been a huge culture shock, especially when just 5 years before, she was getting beaten up at school for being different. They slammed my head into a locker. I fell to the ground and they started to kick the shit out of me. I had to have stitches. Walking home after leaving the nurse's office, I was pretending I was in some gangster movie. It was my way of dealing with it.
Like, what made her an outcast?
She grew up on sort of a hippie commune and she was active in social justice causes as young as age 12.
Wasn't Johnny an outsider too?
I thought so too, that at the time he met Winona, he was actually really popular and mainstream as a teen idol.
He was already a star of 21 Jump Street and he was being followed by the paparazzi.
Their romance happened really fast. Within a few months, they were engaged.
The two of them together created this sort of unintentional power couple that neither one of them actually wanted to be.
Winona, how do you feel about making a movie with Johnny?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It means we get to spend more time together at least.
Are you in love?
Oh, yeah.
They were so devoted to each other that Johnny even got a tattoo that said Winona Forever.
Wasn't his tattoo brought up in his trial with Amber Heard?
Yeah, and at the time, even Winona thought it was a little crazy. I sort of was in shock. I couldn't believe it was real. It's a big thing because it's so permanent. But it wasn't, and neither was their relationship.
And you've got Winona Forever. I presume that's Winona Ryder.
We've split up.
You had the tattoo taken off?
No, of course not. These tattoos, for me, are a journal. I wear my journal. I did go back and rewrite my journal to some degree. I took off the last 2 letters and had it say Wino Forever.
So why did they actually break up?
We don't know for sure, but it seems like the media played a part. Winona compared it to a constant mosquito buzzing around us, but Johnny went even further. It was my mistake to be as open as we were, he said, but I thought if we were honest, it would destroy that curiosity monster. Instead, it fed it, gave people license to feel they were part of it. People remember them both as being super heartbroken about the breakup, but Winona took it especially hard. And that wasn't the only devastating thing that happened to her that year either.
12-year-old Polly Klaas. She was kidnapped at knife point from the bedroom of her home in Petaluma.
Petaluma was Winona's hometown, so when she heard about the kidnapping, she immediately got involved, bringing national attention to it.
I feel really confident that she is going to come home.
She even offered a $200,000 reward. But 2 months after her kidnapping, Polly was found murdered. And in the middle of all the heartbreak, Winona was spiraling out of control.
I used to drive around at night because I couldn't sleep. And I was wishing so badly that I had someone to talk to, a friend. And I didn't. And then I saw myself on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and it said something like, Winona Ryder, the luckiest girl in the world. And it broke my heart because there I was in so much pain. I was getting thoughts like, I don't want to be here anymore. They put me in the psychiatric ward. You would hear screaming at night. It was very, very scary, very real.
When Winona started making Girl Interrupted, she could see the parallels in her own life.
She is the executive producer of a film about a young girl's revealing journey to the edge of mental illness.
What I learned, she said, was that no matter how rich you are and how much you pay some hospital or doctor, they can't fix you. You have to figure it out for yourself.
With what happened in high school, where at first she was like using like her imaginations and like characters to cope, but now it seems like she's using it as a release, you know, and to like work through her problems.
I feel like I'm at an age where I don't have any more excuses. I have to be responsible.
But just 2 years later, Winona was caught shoplifting and everything changed.
The actress walked past 3 cash registers with a pile of clothes and handbags before leaving the store.
There was a public movement in her defense, and even Johnny spoke out in support, but the media was obsessed over the case.
Have you spoken to Winona in light of her recent controversies?
The way they dragged her through the, I would say mud, but in fact it was like broken glass.
Payback time for Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder is in trouble. She took the stand today, and now the stand is missing.
The media coverage went on for almost a year before Winona went to trial, and they even used her mental health struggles against her. Time magazine reported she fits the profile of a kleptomaniac. In 1990, she checked herself into a psychiatric ward because she was having anxiety attacks.
How do you go from anxiety attacks like 10 years ago, all of a sudden to like, oh, she's a kleptomaniac?
But that's not even the worst thing she was accused of during the trial. When Winona's sentencing was televised, people obsessed over this iconic photo of her reaction. But it's not actually her reaction to the verdict. It's something way more shocking.
Garriga spoke of Ryder's many good and charitable acts, specifically the reward she put up a decade ago for the return of a missing California girl, Polly Klaas. But prosecutor Ann Rundle quickly pounced on Ryder's attorney for bringing up the Klaas case, and the courtroom exploded.
It's for someone to trot out the body of a dead child.
That is just so outrageous, Judge. That really is.
For a year, and I'm asking to try and like flip that story just to vilify her, like that's awful.
People criticized Winona for a reaction that was taken out of context, and we can see the same thing happening to Amber Heard. When the judge read out her verdict, it seemed like he wanted to make an example of her.
You have disappointed many people. I'm going to hold you accountable.
What Winona did was wrong, but it seems extreme for her to be banished from Hollywood for 15 years over it.
But that's exactly what happened. While Johnny was finding mainstream success with Pirates of the Caribbean, Winona was dropped from her next project and nobody would hire her anymore.
So why did she do it?
We can't say for sure, but after digging into some interviews, we found out that Winona revealed, psychologically, I must have been at a place where I just wanted to stop. I was so used to people telling me who I was. These labels were being slapped on me and I didn't have any life outside of it. So when she was cast out of Hollywood, Winona had to stop escaping through her work and try something different.
What did she do next?
She went back to her roots and focused on helping others. And she even hosted a benefit for 3 teenagers who had been wrongfully convicted of murder. Winona told Porter magazine in 2016, a lot of people had the perception that I just disappeared in the 2000s. And I did. It was a great awakening. It just wasn't in the public eye.
Wait, 2016. Isn't that the same year Johnny and Amber's court case started?
Yeah, and while he was falling out of favor, Winona was having her comeback as Joyce Byers in Stranger Things. After taking time to reconnect with what really mattered to her, Winona came back to acting on her own terms.
This show has really changed my life.
Now, instead of escaping, Winona can show up as herself and be that weird girl and that outsider. And not only that, she's making it okay for others to be themselves too.
She was literally like a second mother to me.
She drove onto set one day just to see if I was okay.
A lot of the time when we lose ourselves in life, it's because we're not being authentic to ourselves. Whenever you can, like, hone back into who you are and what you love.
You can be celebrated for being who you are.